That
So
was naughty.
it did get a little bit naughty in places, didn't it?
Yes. Good morning, Scribe.
Good morning, Patty. How the devil are you?
Brilliant.
Good.
I hope you had a good start into the new year.
I did indeed. Suffering a little bit today after a very pleasant evening. Lots of vodka and smiles and too many cigars, so I apologise to anybody that's listening if my voice goes a tad croaky this morning. But no, it's been a very, very good start to the year, Patty.
Good. And cigars and vodka. Who would have thought?
I know. Doesn't that sound strange?
Yes. So not you.
I know. Well, sometimes you've just got to push the boat out. Take a few chances. So what have you got for me today, then?
I thought since it's the new year, we could first talk about all the things that you have planned, because I know you are really busy again.
That's true. Yes.
Lots in your sleeves. And after that, I have a favor to ask. I won't say what it is yet, but just so you know.
Is that where I suddenly click this off? oh dear, we lost communication. Sorry, Patty.
No.
Okay, let's look at what we've got coming up then for the start of the year. There are lots, and I'm spoiling everybody again, as usual. We've recently announced the release of the Kitty book, which will be out in 4 days. The response to that has been really good. Lots of advanced copies reserved. So hopefully that'll continue when it finally becomes live on the 15th. So anybody that hasn't reserved a copy, go in and do so. And I hope they enjoy that.
What's the story in short?
In short, it's a fantasy adventure. There are little parts in it that are pure fantasy. But it is based around the adventures of a girl who discovers that she has a touch of feline sexuality, shall we say. She likes the thought of being somebody's little kitty, and all that entails. So when she discovers that part of herself, she goes in looking for somebody that will appreciate it and treat her as a kitty, and become her owner. So that is what she does. And her owner takes her on a series of adventures, and introduces her to some rather special things at his country house. And she then finds that there is more to being a kitty than she actually thought. So,
that sounds good.
And she grows into the role. She starts to like the fact that that feline side to her, the little pussycat side to her, is obviously very naughty. So she's a cheeky little cat, and she certainly enjoys being treated as a pet, shall we say. So it was an interesting one to write. I enjoyed some of the research, because there's lots of pictures out there of cute little girls wearing fluffy ears, and so can't argue with that, Patty. So that was enjoyable to write. So that is out in 4 days, so I hope people like that. Then, of course, there's a little something. I may have mentioned it to people. I may have dropped some hints. We're going to have a competition at the end of the month, Patty.
Oh, what type of competition?
Well, I am going to invite people to write me poetry and prose. And I'm going to base it on the Twitter format. So they will have, instead of 140 characters, I'm going to give them 150 because I'm a nice guy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite people to write a short story, and it's a short bit of prose. It's going to be themed, aimed at Valentine's Day. So I will announce the theme when the post gets put out, and it will run for a week for submissions of prose. And then those prose will be put onto the WordPress site on a special page. And people can go in and vote. And once the voting will run up to the 10th of February, just shy of Valentine's Day, to give me time to prepare, and you, of course, because I'm going to rope you in for this.
What?
Yes. So...
What do I have to do?
Are you feeling brave? No, you don't need. You don't need to be brave. What I'm going to do is the top three will have their prose or poetry read out in an audio broadcast that we will release on Valentine's Day on February the 14th. So
but you will read them, I bet.
I will read them out.
They don't want to hear them in my German accent.
Well, I bet there's a few people out there that will be going, yes, we do, Patty, yes, we do.
I don't think so.
And then the overall winner, I will scribe onto parchment and frame it for them, and then send them their copy of their prose, handwritten with a quill, so that they've got it to keep. So that will be that competition. And I hope that people come in. They'll all be credited. Obviously, everything will still be copyright them, so nobody needs to worry about. I'm not going to pinch their work. I've got too many pieces of work of my own to worry about pinching somebody else's. So each piece will be named and numbered, and then people can go in and vote. And hopefully we will have a decent response. There are quite a few people that follow me that are practitioners of prose and poetry. Some of them are very, very good. So I'm looking forward to seeing some very nice pieces of work. Let's see if we get a worthy winner. After that, as we go into February, just as a little teaser, of course, we've got the February edition of the magazine format coming out. This is going to be called Risky Business. And it is going to be all the stories are going to take place around the workplace. So it is going to be around the office, around people's places of work. And we have the 5 stories, as usual. One will involve a possibly mean boss with a new employee. One will involve a little bit of naughtiness taking place in a canteen, so for lovers of food, sex, and a little bit of
messy sex.
Yes, and that might have a touch of humour to it. We have got one that will be based in an elevator, so I think that's going to be something that is mad, passionate, fast, hard. That's going to be a grab and enjoy, because of obviously the time limit. Then we're going to have one about a very deviant and creepy janitor. The keeper of the building taking advantage of poor executive. And then we're going to have one that is based in that good old stationery cupboard, where all the pens and papers are kept, and that's going to have a slightly different edge to it. So I'm not going to say any more about that, but it is going to be based in the stationery cupboard.
Okay.
So we have that. And then obviously the competition will come through on Valentine's Day. Very soon after that, once people have got their copies of edition 3 and they've read first Kitty book, and you noticed I said first Kitty book there, because, young Patty, we have...
Let me guess.
We have Kitty
The
2.
second one.
We do. Drum roll.
I'm so smart.
Nothing gets past you, Patty. Nothing at all. You are too sharp.
Yeah.
Yes,
I agree.
you are. So we've got Kitty 2 that will be due to release, hopefully, the end of February. The lovely Genevieve is editing as we speak, so she will let me know how she's going on and how far along it is, because she may well have to take a break just to give the February edition of the magazine the once over, to make sure that yours truly hasn't put anything weirdly wonderful in there that doesn't belong, which is quite often when I go back and reread these things after a heavy night's writing. I think, where the bloody hell did that come from? So, and I have lots of typo chimps. They just throw things in there. So she will sort that out and make it relatively coherent. And then, of course, we've got, hopefully, just as a little teaser, we've got the Kitty 2, which will be, for those that are interested, where Kitty goes out into the world. She has enjoyed her time with her new owner, and her work takes her into a different realm of movers and shakers around London. And these are people that are quite hedonistic, and they live life in the fast lane. And she takes a little Kitty out and finds herself embroiled in all their naughty shenanigans.
But she still is with her owner?
Yes, she
naughty.
is. But she is naughty. She's a naughty kitty. And there will be a point I can see in the future, if her adventures continue, where she's going to have a very sore bottom. So we shall look forward to that. So I quite like writing that, I think. I think the thought of having, lifting her tail and spanking her bottom. Yes, I can see that. So I'm getting distracted now.
Yeah, stay focused.
Okay, focus. Right. What were we doing? We weren't talking about Kitty's buns. Right, okay. So, after that, drum roll again.
Wait, it continues?
I'm spoiling people to death, Patty. I'm just too nice. I really need to go back and have a rethink about being as nice as I am. We've got another competition, people. We have another competition, and this will be based around the March edition of... Yes. So during February, I am going to throw open the competition where people can put forward their names, and they can be a character in one of the stories. They will be the main character in one of the stories, and I shall tell you the format that we're going to use. March magazine is going to be called Domestic Bliss. And they're going to be stories that all revolve around the home. We're going to have one that will involve a naughty lady taking advantage of a young delivery boy. We're going to have one that tells the story of a very sexy neighbour moving in next door and taking advantage of somebody.
Okay.
We're going to have one that is based around one of these sex toy parties.
Oh, yes, like the Tupperware parties, but with
naughty things. Yes, that's it. And yeah, Tupperware parties. Yeah, it's kind of close. It's all plastic. And that's going to, I think that's going to turn into a little bit of an orgy scenario, that one, Patty. We're going to have one that's based around a rather hunky gardener taking advantage of the person whose house he's working on. But I think it's going to be a little bit of mutual advantage taking there. And then we're going to have one based around a home tutor, an older man teaching a younger wife a different way of looking at herself. So those are the stories. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer people the opportunity to put their names forward. They can't select the story that they're going to be in. I am going to put them into whichever story I think might make them think, oh, good grief. So, but once again, I'll collect names, and then I'll be picking 5, 1 for each story. And the names will be drawn out of the hat by a willing victim, and and then they will be announced. And then, of course, they're going to have to wait to find out which story I put them in.
So is it only the name, or can they, for example, say, I'm blonde and...
They can, when I select the winners, because obviously, if they just want to remain anonymous, that is fine. And they can be known under any name they wish. Of course, they will know it's them because they'd have selected that name. But if they give me personal details, I will talk to them all. And I only need basics, as you say. I need blonde, blue-eyed, or,
short
whatever.
hair, long hair.
That's it. If it's relevant to the story, if it needs to be woven in there, then the more details that they're prepared to give me, nobody needs to know who they are. Because I won't announce who they actually are. I'll announce the winners, and then people have to read the stories to find out who's gone where. So that's going to be that. Okay, so we've got that to come out, and obviously that will be running through February and into March. In the meantime, of course, you and I have a little announcement to tell people that we are going to be attempting videos, are we not?
Oh, so we don't make it as a surprise.
No, I think we will tell them. Well, I've just told them, haven't I?
Yes. I mean, I can cut it out, but...
But no, I think...
No, if you want to tell them, I'm fine.
Yeah, but I think people would like to know that there's something to look forward to. So we've got those going through, of course. Then, of course, like I said, we've got Kitty 2 will be coming out. And I am going to be starting, in the meantime, I'm going to be starting the next phase of the saga, where we take the central character, the very lovely DL, and we take him and start a whole new series of adventures. The first book will hopefully be ready for the summer, because it is going to be more of a full-size novel rather than a short story. And we have a working title of Reborn, so that gives people a little hint of what's going to be going on. So I look forward to doing that. So as you can see, we have got lots, Patty, taking us through into March and April. And last but not least, of course, we have the tour concept of yours truly going out there and actually meeting the people that interact on a daily basis, and sharing a coffee and a little bit of poetry and prose and having some smiles. And so we've got that to work on. I shall be drumming up support for that. We will be opening a GoFundMe page to support that. Be opening up some WordPress pages to show in more depth what it is that we're looking to do and we're looking to achieve. And hopefully, with some support from nice people that probably have a little bit of a name, or they can help generate some interest, this thing will take off, and during the course of the year, we can have some adventures that you and I can obviously incorporate within the video format that we've got, because I would like them to be recorded. And away we go. So that's going to be an ongoing project. The stories, the books, and the competitions will keep people going for a while. So we've got an awful lot to do, and it's fun. The main thing is we've started this year with lots of interest in the books, lots of interest in what's going on. People are now starting to get into my style of stories. I love the magazine concept. Young Sarah keeps coming up with some brilliant covers. She does, she aims them. She creates them exactly as I envisaged them in the first place. The 50s trash mag style cover. I love those to bits.
Yeah, they do look great.
I really do like them. So she's currently working on February for me, and then of course she'll have March. She's obviously done Kitty 1 cover, which people have seen. It's been released, and she'll be doing Kitty 2, so she's going to be a very busy young lady as well. So Team Scribe has got their work cut out. Like I said, we had the Genevieve doing the editing. I've got you roped into doing this. We've got Sarah slaving away over her little drawing pad doing the covers.
Roped in, slaving away.
Nice.
Nice.
I can't help it. It's all these puns. Sorry, people. And then there is old Scribe sat here in his chair, scribbling away to his heart's content, creating mischief, mayhem, and dark doings into stories. So it's all good fun.
Good.
There is a lot to look forward to, people, and I hope they embrace it. And if they don't, I shall be coming and having a quiet word in their ear. Might involve a little bit of growling and twisting of said ear. So you have been warned, people.
I'm not sure that will have the effect you want it to have.
Well, no, probably not, because there's too many naughty girls out there. Yes. Okay, I'll have to think of something. Oh, I've got those stainless steel clothes pegs. Now that would add a little bit of a bite.
That sounds mean.
It'll add a little bit of bite to the Scribe tour, wouldn't it? The first thing they do is turn up at Starbucks and poke their tongue out, and I attach a nice stainless steel clothes. Yes, I could quite see that. That would be an interesting introduction to it, wouldn't it? Hi, folks, Scribes in wherever. I'd like you to meet the lovely, whatever her name is, and she's the proud recipient of one of my pegs. So, yes, I could do that. So, there you go. You asked, and I've just talked you to death about everything that's going on.
Just 23 minutes.
Was that all? Good grief. So, there we go. There we go, little Patty. That's what we've got. I've just knocked something over. We've got lots and lots, and I'm spoiling people to death, and they don't deserve me.
Yes, true.
He says modestly.
You are too good for this world.
I am. That's why I need to take over the world. This world domination.
Strange that it didn't already happen.
I'm lulling people into a false sense of security.
Okay.
I'm going to try and convince them all that I'm actually cute and fluffy, and they'll go, it's only the Scribe. Let's give him his day.
And then you come with all the pecs and...
and then I could turn into a complete nightmare for everybody. I shouldn't really have said that, should I? Because now they're all going to think, hang on a second.
They all think you're making only fun.
I've just given them the clues, haven't I? You're going to have to cut all that out, Patty. We can't have that. I can't have realising that it's a deviant scheme.
Maybe I will.
Thank you very much. So there we go.
Okay.
Now you know.
So before we come to the favor part, there's a nice young lady out there, and I know she is not feeling too well at the moment.
Oh dear.
Yes, so I thought we could say her get well and everything.
Who's this? Tell me all about this. What's happened?
I always call her Sweetie.
How would I know? What is her name?
You know her. Sweet Stuff?
Oh, right, yes, Lady Sweet, yes, I know her. And she's been poorly.
Yes, and I thought maybe it makes her feel a bit better if we tell her.
Oh, my Lady Sweet, I hope you feel better very, very soon. I know you recently had a lovely vacation in Japan, so it's probably a little bit of excitement still from there, and you've gone back home, and you're probably not feeling 100%, so I really do hope all at Team Scribe and from me that things improve for you very, very soon.
Sweetie, from me also, big hugs, and I hope you get well soon.
Oh, bless her. Okay.
So, now the favorite part.
Come on then.
You can't see it, I'm rubbing my hands.
Am I going to growl at this, Patty?
Oh, we will see.
Okay.
I would like you to read something out of Past Imperfect.
Oh. Right, okay. And where's this come from? What's made you want me to do that?
Let's say, even though I'm not extremely active on Twitter, I sometimes look what the nice ladies write you, and I've seen it a few times. They want to hear you read naughty things.
Right.
So,
is that just an admission that you've stalked me? Have you been stalking?
Stalking is such a mean word. I'd call it research.
Research?
Yes. I mean, I have to know what the girls want so I can deliver it to them.
Okay. So, you would like me to read something out of Past Imperfect?
Yes.
I am going to need to get a copy of Past Imperfect, aren't I? Okay, right. Bear with me, people, because you might hear some rustling and things and stuff while I go over to my bookshelf. Bear with me a second. Okay. Right. Past Imperfect. Anything in particular, or shall I pick something at random?
Pick something with naughty bits. Please.
All right, well, let's just flick the pages and let's see where we end up. Okay. Right, well, that's in the middle of something, so let's just turn the page. Right. I have chapter 7. Is the first full chapter that I've turned to. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only a short one. It's 5 pages.
Would you read it all? Or is that too much to ask?
I don't think it would take too long, Patty.
Okay.
I don't know how we're doing on time on here. How are we doing so far?
Because we don't want 28 minutes.
So we don't want to bore people. So it shouldn't take too long, I wouldn't imagine. So I'm going to read this, am I? Okay. You do realise I haven't read this actually for quite a while, so this is going to be interesting, isn't it? And it's also going to be a first because I don't think I've ever done this, read out a passage of a book before.
Yeah, about time you do it. So stop wasting time and get to it.
You're a bossy little madam. You do know that, don't you? There will be a reckoning, Patty. I will remember this. And your bossiness.
Oh.
At some point, my favourite word, consequences, is going to kick in. So be advised.
Okay.
Okay. For those that don't know or haven't got there yet, Past Imperfect is book 4 of the Dark Side saga, and it takes DL and Joss into a new home, a new beginning, and they start to discover that the house that they have recently purchased and are renovating and restoring has a very, very dark past. I don't know, I'm just flicking through actually, see if there's anything about the house in chapter 7. There's a little bit, but oh dear, it seems to be getting a bit naughty.
Good.
Oh, okay. It does look as though it does get a bit naughty. Surprise, surprise, from one of my books. Who would have thought it? So, chapter 7. Let's see where they are. They were sat quietly in the study when Joss told him about her day. He growled at the story of the priest, vowing to go and have a word at the weekend, and they became fascinated in the details of the tunnels, statue, and young Harry. He agreed it had been a wise move not to explore further without taking precautions, and asked if she could find the statue again. Joss shrugged and thought she could. Her surprise at him jumping to his feet made him laugh. Come on, baby girl, we have an hour of daylight left. Let's go and see it. Joss grumbled and followed him out of the study and through the house. She had been hoping for some special time with him, as she had been decidedly horny after her shower, and traipsing through the tunnels and grounds was not her idea of fun. She had dressed in a long, soft t-shirt and her favourite over-the-knee socks, and she knew he had looked at her with a growl building. But now she was going to go outside in the woods, where she would probably get eaten alive by bugs. Muttering about being sorry she had told him about the statue, she huffed into the seat next to him in the golf cart and hung on as he powered them down the path. He slid to a halt next to the pond, jumping out with a "Where now?" thrown over his shoulder. Joss pouted and flounced across to point out the faint path. It's about 50 yards that way, sir. Do I have to come with you? There are creatures that bite in the grass and things, and I can't sit here and wait for you. DL laughed and patted her on the ass, a grin on his face. The only creature around here likely to take a bite out of you is me, baby girl. But you can wait here. I won't be long. Joss mumbled about the chance would be a fine thing as she watched him disappear towards where she thought the statue was, then sat in the cart with a fixed scowl. DL walked quickly along the path, excited to see this latest discovery. If it was as Joss had described, he would have lifted it and brought it to the house. After cleaning, it would make an interesting feature in his planned new playroom. He was lost in thought about how to convert one of the tunnels, so much so that he nearly walked straight past the statue, only the obvious cleared brush catching his attention. Moving closer, he could see it was more intricate than Joss had described. It must have taken weeks to carve. The agony and ecstasy captured on the girl's face was just perfect. Though obviously carved when the house was built, he marvelled at the detail in the two rather large dildos that were protruding from the base and into the hapless girl. Even the screws in the shackles were delicately traced. This was a special piece. Immediately deciding it must come back to the house, he turned his attention to the open grille that led to the tunnel. The light was fading fast, but he couldn't resist taking a few steps down to get a feel of the place. He could sense how deep it was, and if he was correct, it would run all the way back to the house, a distance of what must be half a mile. Backing up slowly on the slippery floor, he thought he knew just the person to help explore this place, and they had all the gear. So with a smile, he set off along the track to return to the unhappy Joss. She was sat there mumbling, swatting at imaginary flies, cursing under her breath about the selfish antics of doms who think you have nothing better to do than sit in a wood in the middle of the night. When she suddenly jumped at a sudden breeze blowing around her knees. Lifting her head and looking around her, she was disconcerted to notice it was now quite dark. Where the hell was he? She stood up in the cart and looked in the direction he had gone. "Sir, it is getting dark, sir. I think we should be going now." She had raised her voice so that he must have heard her. Why didn't he answer? Getting angry now, she stomped along the path a short way and called again. "Sir, I'm getting anemic from all the bug bites. Can we go back to the house now?" She was just about to start cursing again when arms wrapped around her from behind and she was lifted from her feet. Joss just had time to squeak before one of the arms moved up and wrapped around her throat, cutting the air off as effectively as flipping a switch. She kicked and struggled, her legs flailing in the air, as she was carried towards a large tree and pressed hard against the unyielding trunk. Whoever had her used their body weight to keep her pinned as they kept her suspended in the air, her struggles and gasps getting slightly weaker as her head started to spin. Ooh. She barely registered when she felt herself taken, her assistant bouncing her on him like a doll. The arm moved from her throat and she gasped in the cool air, her body shaking from the powerful thrusts as she was penetrated deeply. The rough bark was scraping her breasts through the flimsy t-shirt, causing her to whimper between the thrusts, the harder ones making her grunt in her chest as she was pushed against the tree. She struggled again, aware her body was betraying her, and she knew she was dripping and making it easy for them to hurt her. Joss cried out when she was thrown to the floor, her breath taken again as her back impacted on the hard ground. But it was her attacker who scared her the most, now she could see him. She knew he could get big and hard when he was engorged, huge, and she mewled in fear as he lowered himself over her, dragging her shirt up to grasp her small breasts. She felt herself stretched as he pushed into her again, his face close, eyes on hers, as he deliberately started to hurt her again. She was pinned under him, her body hurting from being fucked so brutally. Yet Joss kept her eyes on his and panted out her plea. "Use me, sir. Oh, God, yes, use me. It hurts. Please, please." DL dropped his head and sank his teeth into her throat, Joss screaming as he lifted her hips and drove harder into her. Her legs waving in the air above her face as she writhed and tried to make herself easier to take, wanting him to finally break her. They were grunting in time to his thrusts, and as she felt the skin break on her throat, Joss came hard, feeling herself virtually squirt onto him as she arched her neck back and begged him to drink from her. The iron taste of blood tipped him over the edge, and the moans from the girl under him caused his balls to contract into emptiness, his growl joining her groan at that final moment. At last they were spent. He rolled onto his back and pulled the sobbing Jess onto his chest, soothing her with quiet words as she tried to thank him between the spasms in her body. Joss touched the bandage around her neck and smiled as she watched him organise the moving of the statue. It was the first time he had really hurt her, and though he had fussed over her when they got back to the house, she had seen the darkness in his eyes. She chuckled and pressed her pelvis against the countertop, the bruising making her wince, but not preventing a throb in her pussy. Damn, she was becoming a rape whore. She needed him to hurt her. She gave a little tremble, and even now she was getting wet at the memories. He must have felt her eyes on him as he turned from the statue and waved. Joss wrinkled her face and stuck her tongue out at him, then mouthed, "Bad man," making him laugh out loud. He resumed issuing orders to the bemused workmen as they laboured to get the large piece of erotic art off the back of the small truck. Joss thought it was ugly, almost too intimate, and she grinned at the exchanged glances between the men when they tried to figure out where to hold the damn thing. The news that DL had planned a new playroom in the cellars had come as a surprise, so she was determined she would get them explored before any work started. It would help if she had some kind of diagram, a map even, of exactly what was under there. But did one exist? Walking through to the study, she logged onto a computer and started a search, entering the name of the house, the district, anything that could link to the area. She speed-read the listings as they appeared, nothing really grabbing her attention until on the third page there was a title: Lower Thorpe Church and Medieval Library. She scanned the article, her excitement building as it stated, holds many rare and ancient books and records from the past going back hundreds of years. If there was a map of this place, it had to be there. She clicked off the computer and her smile faded immediately. She remembered her last visit to the church. That dirty old bastard would be there, she growled in her throat. So nothing for it but to work her charms on DL and get him to come with her. She smirked and ran upstairs to change. Time for an entrance. DL had just managed to get the statue into the larger of the two outhouses when he realised that both the men helping him were looking the other way. Whatever they were looking at was hidden by the bulk of the statue, so leaning around the side of the stonework, he craned his neck in time to see Joss wandering across the patch of grass between them, his eyebrows going up at what she was wearing. Her long red hair was wild around her head, the tight cropped t-shirt moulded to her small breasts, and the short skirt and over-the-knee socks gave her that unmistakable, innocent schoolgirl gone bad aura. She walked slowly, pretending not to notice the open-mouthed stares from the workmen, instead fixing him with a shy smile as she sidled up and leaned into his chest. She tilted her head back, her big green eyes shining with mischief. I was wondering if the big bad man would like to take his little girl to church. I have a need to confess my sins. After all, she pouted for effect, I have done some very naughty things recently. DL coughed, well aware the men standing there, wide-eyed, could hear every word. And for the first time in umpteen years, he felt a blush spread up his cheeks. When Joss leaned closer and pressed against his groin, he was totally speechless. She batted her eyelids at him. Please, sir, I will be ever so grateful. He grabbed her arm with a gruff, I'll be back in a minute. He left the outhouse and Frog marched a giggling Joss back to the house. She skipped away from him once through the door and sat on the edge of the kitchen table, swinging her legs innocently, as though without a care in the world, only the slight twitch at the corner of her mouth betraying her real feelings. DL stood there looking at her, not being able to decide if he should beat her or hug her. He ran his hand over his scalp in frustration. You are the most infuriating, downright disobedient, cheeky and provocative fucking subby it has ever been my misfortune to meet. He paced the room, waving his arms while Jess put on her best sad face. I should beat you to within an inch of your life for that performance, he growled, and stood in front of her. Give me a reason why I shouldn't. Joss leaned back and stretched over the table, her knees lifting and falling apart, revealing her soft, swollen pussy. Nothing more needed to be said. That is the end of the chapter, Patty.
Ooh. That was naughty.
It did get a little bit naughty in places, didn't it?
Yes.
I don't know how that happened. I really don't. Somebody's been in and doctored that book. I don't remember writing that.
Yeah.
My book was all sweetness and light, so somebody's been in and corrupted it.
Yeah, and unicorns and rainbows.
They're there somewhere, I'm sure they are. I'm sure I wrote about those in there somewhere. But somebody's been in and they've altered it. I don't remember that. Well, there was a first, me reading part of the story. How long did that take?
Oh God, where were we? I think 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's something to bear in mind, because if it's a request that I get in the future, though I probably won't now, not after reading that, we know how long it takes, so we could possibly plan a reading audio where somebody selects a book and a chapter they would like, they would like to hear, and we could do that. But we shall wait and see. We shall wait and see. So, what else do you have for me now? Have you got anything else up your sleeve?
No, that's it.
No?
So
That's it. Are we? Oh, we're done, are we?
yeah.
Have you finished?
After
reading?
only 47 minutes.
Wow, we're letting people off.
The rendering will take ages.
We're going to have to think of something else just so we can bore people for a little bit longer. But I've got nothing else new to tell them just now. Nothing that I want to reveal just yet. So we've got things, obviously, that we're planning for later in the year, but they're going to have to wait for that. I'm not going to give everything away. So I hope they enjoy. I hope the listeners enjoy all the things that are going to be coming out. I hope the Lady Sweet gets better, and I hope those listening enjoyed the chapter. And I hope you edit out those parts where I give away my devious schemes, Patty.
Maybe.
Yes, okay. And I look forward to talking with you again very, very soon. We'll
was that Molly Dog?
It was. She has. I'm sure she understands. She's just heard me say, look forward to it. She thinks we're bringing it to a close, so she's involved, haven't she? You've come to see what's going on. So you're going to need to talk to the listeners. Standing there quietly doesn't really convert into an audio broadcast. There you go. On cue. She says hello. I'm sure she will make her presence known in future broadcasts.
Oh, yes, when we do videos.
Oh my God, yes.
It will probably be the most requested thing. Show Molly Dog.
Yeah, nobody really wants to see me at all, do they? They just want to see the dog.
Well, nothing against you, but you are not a cute, fluffy dog with big eyes.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what I try and say to convince people, I'm not exactly a big fluffy scribe either, am I? No. Oh well. See, coming second best to the dog. I should be hurt. And on that note, Patty, now my feelings have been torn to shreds. My ego is in pieces on the floor. I am going to bid you adieu, and I look forward to speaking with you again very, very soon.
Oh, yes.
Go and work your magic
Too
with
much fun. Oh, I will. See you soon.
Yeah, bye-bye for now, Patty. Bye-bye.